Hi, Hugo Reed. The nonfiction book I'm going to read this week is Prickly Sea Stars. The author is Natalie Lunis, and it is part of the No Backbones, The World of Invertebrates series. It's telling us up here. Invertebrates are animals without backbones. It talks about that a little bit as we get into the book. Okay, we have a table of contents. It tells what we're going to see in the book. Look at those cool sea stars all around it. Wow. Okay, stars of the sea. Sea stars are animals that live in the sea. Some people call them starfish, but they're not fish. All fish have backbones. It's showing the backbone on the fish. You can see its skeleton, right? Sea stars don't have backbones. They don't even have heads. So there you can see. Those are pretty. This says, a sea star gets its name from the way its body is shaped, like a star. Many kinds, many colors. There are about 1,800 kinds of sea stars. Some sea stars are as small as 1 inch across. That's pretty little. I wonder, see the 3 that it's showing here? They don't tell us how big those are, but those are pretty cool. Others are as big as 2 feet. So that's like wider than this book. That would be wider than my shoulders. Can you imagine if you saw a sea star that wide? I'm wondering if they don't live way deep in the ocean maybe. I've never seen one that big before. Sea stars can be many different colors, yet they all have arms called rays connected to the center of their bodies. Most sea stars have 5 rays, but some have up to 40. And that's showing us one that has more than 5, right? 5 is what we think of just a normal star looking. We always think 5 points, but that one has a lot. Look how pretty those are. Looks like there's anemones in here too. Do you see those? Life without a brain. Sea stars don't have a head or a brain, yet they can still sense the world around them. They use tiny body parts called eye spots to see light and dark. They use parts of their skin to smell other sea creatures. So here it's showing us the eye spot. So it's on the end of one of the rays. And it says, a sea star's eye spots are on the tips of its rays. So that's a really good close-up. Seafood. Some sea stars use their sense of smell to hunt for food. They can smell clams, mussels, snails, and other sea creatures. Sea stars crawl slowly towards the animal and grab them. It's going to show us. Those are pretty cool. Sea stars have many little tube feet on the underside of their rays. These tube feet help them grab onto things. So there you can see those little tube feet. Look, here it's grabbing a clam in the middle of that sea star. Do you see it? So it's going to grab it. It's going to tell us how it eats it. Open for dinner. Sea stars eat clams and mussels in a strange way. They grab the shells with their tube feet. They pull until the shell is open just a little. Then the sea stars push out their stomachs through their mouths. Wow. They squeeze their stomachs into the shells and eat the animals inside. So look at that. It's showing their stomach coming out and then squeezing it into the clams or the mussel. Sometimes there's kind of, mussels are sort of similar to clams. These aren't mussels like we think of mussels on our body or our arms. They're spelled a little bit different. That is a close-up picture. And then this is the stomach of the sea star that it has pushed out and it's going to push into the mussel to eat it. Prickly protection. Very few animals hunt for sea stars for food. Why? Most sea stars have bodies that are covered with prickly skin. Their prickly skin makes them hard to eat. Some fish and crabs are able to eat sea stars though. Seagulls and otters sometimes catch and eat them too. So that's showing us a picture of a seagull eating one and a sea otter eating one. A few kinds of sea stars are not prickly. Instead, they're slimy or leathery. You can see that on this one. It looks like what I would think of as like shark or dolphin skin, where it's just more smooth. So we have the kind like on the cover of the book where they're very prickly and have bumps. And then there's this kind that has more smooth or leathery skin. Regrowing a ray. A sea star sometimes loses a ray in a struggle with an enemy. When this happens, it grows a new ray. For a while, the new ray is smaller than the others. In a few months, it grows to full size. So you can see on this picture, here's the new ray, and it's a lot shorter than the older ones. Looks like some of these are a little shorter too, doesn't it? But it's saying in a few months, it'll all be the same. A sea star can also lose a ray if it's crushed by a rock or other heavy object, which makes sense. Think in the ocean, when you're out in the ocean and the tide comes in, the current comes in, and it just kind of tumbles you around. Well, it would tumble rocks around too, right? So a rock could land on a sea star and crush one of its rays. More ways to grow. Sea stars can grow back more than just one ray. They can grow back 2, 3, 4, or even more rays. Sometimes one chopped off ray can grow into a whole new sea star. A chopped off ray will grow into a new sea star only if part of the center of the body is still connected. So it would need a little bit of the middle, the center with it. If it was just like from here down, that wouldn't work. It needs a little bit of the middle, the center to go with it. So that's crazy. Look, there's one. You can tell that it is regrowing 4 because this one is long and like big. These are new rays and they're growing to be as long as that one. Wow. For a long time, people have caught clams and oysters for food. In the past, they would chop up any sea stars they found in their net. Then they would throw them back into the sea. The people thought they were getting rid of the sea stars. In fact, they were causing even more sea stars to grow. The sea stars live in all the world's oceans. They live in warm, cold, shallow, and deep waters. That's amazing. There aren't a lot of animals that can live in all the different oceans in the world. Wow, look at those. Those cool. Even though those look like they're pretty much the same kind, there's so many shapes and just slightly different colors. Talks about the world of invertebrates. Animals that have backbones are known as vertebrates. Mammals, birds, fish, reptiles, amphibians are all vertebrates. Animals that don't have backbones are called invertebrates. Jellyfish, snails, sea stars are all invertebrates. So are insects and spiders. More than 95% of the world's animals are invertebrates. So this shows us up close a few of them that are invertebrates. What are you and I? Are we vertebrates or invertebrates? Do we have a backbone? We do. You can feel your spine down the middle of your back goes up and down, right? So we would be a vertebrate. But anything like a worm or a sea star with no backbone is an invertebrate. So this talks about the words that they used. Backbone, a group of connected bones that run along the backs of some animals such as dogs, cats, fish, and they're also called spines. Eye spots, parts of the sea star's body that can sense light and dark. Rays, arm-like body parts that grow from the center of the sea star's body. And tube feet, small body parts that are attached to the sea star's rays and can help it crawl. They're pretty amazing. They would need something to kind of help attach to things in the ocean, wouldn't they? Because the water's moving all the time. They'd just get pushed around if they didn't have some way to kind of attach since they use their tube feet. And if you want to learn more online, here is a website. You can take a screenshot of that and check it out. So that is today's book about prickly sea stars. Wow. They don't have, and on the back it says sea stars don't have a head or a brain, and yet they're still able to hunt for food. That's amazing. I hope you liked that book. I will see you again next week with a couple new ones. Have a great week. Bye-bye.